Hey guys, thank you so much and welcome to the Game Your Future podcast. I'm Daniel, and here at Game Your Future, we're all about helping gamers realize their full potential because you guys have this power inside of you, and this podcast is all about drawing it out and showing you how amazing gamers can be out in the real world. And so, with that, we have a special guest for you guys today. This is Britzky Pop, who is anime fan, lifelong gamer, and the day job working as a client care services for an insurance company. So, Brisky, how are you doing? Thank you so much and welcome.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So, thank you for being here. And one of
Yeah.
the things I think a lot of gamers also love the anime. So, I love to get like the gamer slash anime fans here as well. So, you can, and if those watching the video, I'm wearing my my Rimuru shirt. Yeah, the Reincarnated as a Slime, definitely my favorite anime, just because how fun. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about just kind of where your gaming journey started and your love for anime and how and then we'll get into how that has kind of shaped you, especially on your professional journey. So tell us about how long you've been gaming.
Yeah, so I've been gaming since I can remember. I had an older brother that really loved gaming, and our parents got us like a Nintendo. And we always went to the store and got games every weekend, things like that, and Blockbuster and all of that growing up. And it's just always been a part of my life. And then as I got older, more closer to middle school, high school is when it really became like everything that I ever wanted to do. I learned about anime conventions. I had met somebody who used to really draw an amazing fan art of Sailor Moon. And that's how I started really understanding that the cartoons I was watching was anime, like Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, things like that growing up. And really dived into it ever since then. Like I've been going to conventions since 2003,
Hmm.
and gaming is just a huge part of that, especially when they start combining the two.
Oh, absolutely. I've definitely played some games. Yeah, games of an anime or anime of a game. Yeah, those are always fun. So, because the gaming anime, side of things, I'm definitely a huge fan of too, because that's definitely going to conventions and doing all that kind of thing. I was gonna say the really crazy thing to me, I think, is just spending just what is like a whole weekend usually, right, for these different conventions, where you can just. I think one time I went to what was it, Dragon Con, like the really big one in Atlanta, and
Yes.
just like slept on the floor in one of the anime rooms like one
Those
night.
were the best times at conventions when they were in hotel base and you just kind of stayed in the hotel.
Yeah, you just kind
Now
of
it's a
stay
little
there.
bit big and I call them conventions in that, but I mean
Yeah,
like big warehouse halls, and now it's humongous. It's crazy how much it's grown.
it is. It's so crazy. So what is it about the anime and the gaming that really drew you in, right? Like, so I guess the other way to ask it is like, why do you enjoy it?
I think because I have a huge love of art and drawing, and that's generational type of thing that I've had. Like my grandmother's an artist, my mother's an artist, and it just kind of spoke to me. But not only with the art side of it, but the music side of it too. I guess just all the arts of it. And then learning how video games were even made in the first place. It's incredible how much of an evolution things have come together. But I think the biggest part of it is my love for art and seeing how much you can dive yourself into that with a video game.
Yes, absolutely. So having that love for that creativity,
Yes.
definitely huge. So tell us a little bit also on the professional side. So how is it you got into what you're doing now for client services?
So I've always been very much a people person. I was little kid hugging people, had no problems getting to know people. And this is why I think, with my love of MMORPGs, I have no problem talking to people. So I think that grew into like being on, well, Discord, but back then it was like, what was it?
Ventrilo, right? And TeamSpeak.
Ventrilo.
I
you
remember that
know?
too.
I mean, when we're talking about older age, we had AOL Instant Messenger back then.
Oh, there
I
you
had no
go.
problem
Oh
meeting
my
people and
gosh.
talking to people. And I think that's what grew my ability to work with people on the phones, I mean, that's my job every day. I talk to people, I help people. Um, I advise on applications and how to go through them. So I'm very detail oriented, which again, in video games, I think is a good way to learn that because some games, especially nowadays, they have a lot more strategies. They have a lot more than, okay, just go to the next save point. Now it's,
Yeah.
did you go to here? Did you get this special card because you can't, proceed without this special item, and then you got to figure out how to get it. Or if you're in like 14, Final Fantasy 14, you're having to craft your gear. You have to have all the elements to do that. Like, I think that's what really built my personality is able to detail orient and then knowing how to talk and be around people.
That's huge. Yeah, especially the MMO side of it too, just being able to interact and talk with people just because they're everywhere, right? That's the whole point of the MMO is that you just
You
the
get
player
friends around the
interaction
world.
and they're all over the world. That's huge. So the part of I think Final Fantasy too is like that kind of progression, right? Because the I think you kind of grow and change as you kind of learn, to work with people in an MMO, but the
Yeah.
game itself is also evolving too,
Oh,
right?
every
And
day.
just that's what I love about Final Fantasy is that just that kind of evolution where yeah, especially MMOs, like how far the MMO genre has gone from I don't know if you ever played World of Warcraft, right?
Yes.
So between World of Warcraft to Final Fantasy, like there's the old adage, the tank and spank, right? Where it's just
Yes. I was a
here's a
combat
boss.
rogue in World of Warcraft. I loved it.
So fight boss, hit boss, do damage, win. And they're like, okay,
Yeah.
done.
Unless you're in PvP, then you got to
Yeah.
do a little bit of
PvP is a little
thinking.
bit different, right? But I like how like the fights have changed and especially like definitely been a 14 player since the beginning and seeing those fights do the same thing where it's just like things just build on top of each other. So like the fights now are light years different than they were before. And it's
It's
just amazing how
amazing.
much like if you go back and play like the old raids where it's just like how simplistic they were, I guess by comparison because we're learning and changing as gamers, right? So understand
Right.
that kind of how we learn and change over time too, right?
Yeah. And it has to be a challenge and they have to, adapt to that because then you get the complaints from the fandom saying, this is too boring. This is too straightforward. We need a little bit more challenge because then it becomes exciting when
Yeah.
it's difficult. Like, just like we just had the world battles recently and it's crazy to see how much strategy you need. Like, I couldn't even imagine doing what they do all day every day and
Yeah.
having to, oh my gosh, and then they have to do it better. So you have to think like them as the devs have to adapt now and go, okay, how do we keep this going and keep people in this game? Because we have to imagine that Final Fantasy 14's been around a long time. And I mean,
Yeah.
even going back to Final Fantasy XI that I used to play, I
Mhm.
mean, that's still around too. And you could just imagine that that's evolved over time as well. So all these games, and they're battling each other. World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, like everybody's trying to get to the top of who's the best, but who can keep fandom in it in the first place. Because they can evolve all they want, but if nobody's playing it,
Yeah, exactly. So how do you think that has helped that kind of understanding, that kind of, being able to change, to grow and seeing that kind of change in 14 or just the games industry and how they changed to try to keep the fandom, how that has applied kind of in your role or just in the businesses you've seen?
well, of course, in when you're having to work with computers and new things like AI and all sorts of adaptations to new programs, because when you're in a work setting, a lot of times you've got your tech support saying, okay, this program doesn't work anymore. We've got a new one and you've got to do a new thing. Just like in any video game, if they make an update to something and change or nerf your character, you've got to adapt to that. You've got to change your strategy now because you no longer have this thing that gives you crits. Now it's going to give everybody crits and it's that sort of thing. So I think gaming allows us to be okay with that adapting
Mm,
adaptation, That's the right word.
The
So,
adaptability, right? No, that's great. So being able to kind of change with and being adaptable, right?
right.
That's yeah, definitely something I completely echo, and I don't know that we've talked a lot about on this podcast for with some of our other guests, just that level of change and adaptability. Because I think there's a lot of different skills that gamers have, so I'd really like to dive in on that one,
Sure.
just being able to change and to grow. So because it makes sense, right? So what you're talking about as far as patches, especially like in an MMO, change the way your characters work. And I think to give the Final Fantasy XIV example, so for those that haven't played, right, it uses like a job system, classes, and so the one that comes to mind most recently, I think, is the Summoner rework, uh,
Yes.
where the Summoner, you would imagine, you summon little critters and they fight for you, right? But
Our carbuncles.
and the little carbuncle, right? So and in a previous iteration of the class, it kind of behaved more like a dot class, like a damage over time class. So there's lots of little spells that are firing off. And you didn't really get the big feeling of like, do I really feel like a summoner, right? It's like
Yeah.
I have
Other
the
than
little
the
thing out there.
creatures, that's
It's kind of
it.
helping, sort of, but and then they completely reworked it to be like much more of a kind of a damaged like nuker type, and you actually get to see
Hmm.
summons do a lot more. And I was like, okay, so now this is actually you know, feels better as a summoner, but it does inherently, they completely rework the class so it plays completely different.
It's a lot simpler too, because it used to be a lot more complicated. You
Yeah.
had to like summon it and then do this move, and you had to literally 1, 2, 3. And then now it's very much like, okay, there it is. 1, 2, you're done. And that's what makes it even better. Because
Yeah.
when you're raiding and things like that and running around, you don't want to be like, oh my God, I have to fight all the different buttons. Oh my God. It's already hard enough to get the character out.
Yeah. I have to hit my like 20 button rotation just to like get it right while I'm running away from the boss. Like, no,
Yes.
exactly. And I think that's a great example of just saying like, you have to be adaptable to the change because like if you love Summoner as a class, love it or hate it, like if you played it, it's
Hmm.
the old Summoner's gone. You can't play it anymore. Like they've patched it. It's different now. And you have to
Yes.
be able to change and adapt. It's either you play the new class as it is, or you have to also adapt in a different way and be like, well, I don't like the new way they do it. So you have to go learn another class. So
Yeah.
either
And
way,
I
you're
think
doing
it's a
something
way
different.
to learn, hey, maybe I like something a little better. Like maybe I like instead of being a summoner, I like to be a black mage, or maybe I'd like to focus on healing a little bit better. It kind of teaches you too, you know, to take the time to learn new jobs or new things. The same thing when you're in the workplace. Hey, this sounds really fun. Maybe I'll try that job, or maybe I'll apply for this promotion, and you never know where you get it. Because just like any job class, you've got to kind of research it and know how to fight it. They give you the basic tutorials. Same thing as you're starting a new job. You're going to start with your training and learn that job and then move into it. So again, it's still part of that adaptation.
I think that's huge. And so I'd love to echo that point just to say like
Sure.
how has it affected you and how do you see that kind of that because I think there's a lot of people that get stuck in the job, right? Or stuck in the
Hmm.
position to say like, oh, well, the game forces me to change. So I guess I'll change. But when you get into a job, you're like, yeah, there's a lot of people that maybe are just there for the paycheck, right? They're just floating under the radar. They're like, I don't need to change. And what would you say to those kind of people?
So, and that's okay because there are people like that in the gaming series. There are people like that in streaming, in any category of genre or what have you. There are going to be those people, but they can't not nod to the fact to those that do take the opportunities. And it doesn't mean that they don't look up to them either. Because I mean, how many people are watching Twitch right now, watching those world races? How many people that I mean, to be honest, I don't do savage. I can't
There
talk.
we go.
Savage rating. But my boyfriend does. He's very good at it and he loves it. But I love watching the world races. I love watching it and being so fascinated by it that you never know. Maybe one day down the road, maybe I'll try it if someone would have me in the beginning. And that's the beauty part of that too, is that just like in a game, there are people that we can reach out to say, like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you, if you're in a job and you noticed someone's really good at this job, maybe you want to pick their brain.
Yeah,
Maybe you would be interested because you never know what would get you later. Or if there's a point where you're like, I'm not getting anywhere in life, whether it's a game or your job, and you never know that trying something out could change your whole life.
exactly. That's it. You never really truly know the different opportunities that you can have or that you can miss if you don't ask, if you don't try.
Exactly.
So I think that's a great point because that I think we're so adaptable in games, and it's just to me it's pulling that out and saying like how can we use that same adaptability, whether it's very simple things like just trying a different strategy, like you said, like the world race, like trying to beat the boss, trying to beat the savage boss, and it's like how do we have to do it, like you have to completely change and iterate everything you're doing so that you can figure, all right, this is how we get to this next stage. This is how we get to the next point of the fight. You're like, all right, now we're on phase two. Uh-oh, everything's different now. Like,
Which
so
can
just being
seem
able to pivot.
overwhelming too, because, but that's why we're in such a day and age where you could literally watch any YouTube video, any strat, you can ask people. I mean, it's whether or not you want to give it a chance.
Mhm.
That's what it is, because we are the only ones that hold ourselves back from opportunities in our life.
Couldn't agree more. That's huge. So for the people that are in that, maybe in that rut, like that they are kind of, maybe they're holding themselves back or they don't know that they can do it, maybe potentially. So what kind of advice have you used that has gotten you ahead in those kind of areas?
Reaching out to anybody who's already there, ask how they started, ask questions, because the worst that can happen is they don't respond or they don't give you the right advice, which is possible because we're all human. And if you're too afraid to talk to people, look online, go into Facebook groups. That's how we've even found this, is joining like-minded people who think and live like you do, to get their advice, because what's it hurt in asking a question?
I think that's huge. And I think a good point, and tell me if you've had this example, is that you don't necessarily have to always just go to like the top person in the
Yeah,
field in this category, right? Like you just have to go to somebody that's even just one or two steps ahead of you, just to say like
yeah.
how did you get to this next step?
Exactly. Just kind of asking anybody who's even interested in the same thing as you, because maybe they have some knowledge you weren't aware of, or they're starting and maybe they want you to join them.
Also true. Yeah, going together on the journey, right? Just to kind of help each of you go forward. I think it's huge. Absolutely.
Exactly. It's like when we have 14, we have our party finder,
Hmm.
and there are people who post all the time, like beginning savage rating, or maybe they just need to clear a Suzaku run or something like that. And maybe you really like the fight, but you're not very good at it. So you just join, because then there's no expectation. There's nobody
Yeah.
saying, oh, did you watch the video? Do you know? You don't need that. Like, you just join in, say,
Yeah.
hey, I'm new. Help me out here. Where do I start? It's the same thing in the job. Like, you go up to a receptionist and be like, hey, do you guys have job opportunities? And do you have any research in what that involves? I mean, we are living in such an age that you could Google anything you're interested in before
Yeah.
even talking to an actual person.
Exactly right. There's so much information out there. So it's really just checking what all you want to do and just like what all's available because there's kind of something for everyone, right?
Exactly. And there's enough social media in the world where people will show where they came from, where they started. And again, some people are willing to answer questions. You just never know.
Exactly. And that's what I love about that is that because I think a lot of people get this kind of fear or there's just starstruck. They're just like, oh, surely I can't talk to that person. It's like, I mean, the worst they can say is no.
Right?
And what are you out there? And even if
Yeah,
you do, and like I said, even if you don't want to go after that person to be like, okay, they're too much of on a put them on a pedestal or something, but like, okay, maybe they're a little bit way further ahead than you are, but going like, who's the next person down? Who's the next person after that? Like, surely
right.
there's other people on that journey, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that's huge. Just being able, so what you're really saying too is really just kind of asking for help, right? Just being open to receiving help. I think is huge.
Yes. Yes. At least research what you're looking for at the very least. If you're too afraid to talk to people, go online, research, find videos because even though yes, we have a lot of, very big social media people, but we also have very small social media people. You can find people out there that have small followings if that's more your cup of tea.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's, and I mean, there's a reason that there's so many people on like, Twitch and stuff too, right? That's, yeah, you don't just only watch the one big person and that's it, right? There's
No.
usually people watch like several different people that are just and at different levels, right? So,
Right, exactly. And you can ask them questions like, hey, what got you into this? What got you excited about this? And if they have a similar following, keep talking to them. See where you can go. You might be able to team up and you never know where that could go.
yeah, exactly right. That's what I think brilliant about, whether it's streaming and like I said, the podcast. Like I feel fortunate to have talked to a bunch of different people, just yourself included, just everyday people that are just doing really cool things. And then I've had like business owners and like
That's it.
multi-millionaires on
Single
this
mom
podcast.
working from home.
There you go.
I'm on the computer 24/7, whether I'm
Yeah.
working and then gaming because I'm a PC gamer. So it's
There you
like I
go.
never
Oh,
leave my chair.
gotta have the good chair. Is that a Secret Labs chair too?
No, this is a cheap Amazon
That's a cheap
chair.
one.
Don't
Yeah.
tell
Okay.
anyone.
Okay.
Just tell everybody.
Just
No,
tell
it's
everyone.
fine. I would love that though. I want the Final Fantasy one so
Yes,
bad.
I saw.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I saw the Final
God.
Fantasy. I want
I
that one
need the
too.
fat cat pillow with it. Yes.
Perfect.
They need to make a carbuncle one. I'm very upset about that.
That's yeah. There needs to be a better cover for that.
Carbuncle doesn't get enough love.
So summoners out there, get on it.
That's
We
it.
can
Come
push
on
them. We can
now.
do
We
it.
need more summoning merch.
More summon merch. So much fun. So okay, so there's so much around just gaming and trying to apply it to life. So is there anything else that you've noticed being a gamer that's really helped you in your job, right? The client services.
So I mean, nothing that we've already talked about in the first place, but I guess just dealing with technology in the first place because there's change in technology. There's, you know, a lot of times when you work where I'm at, where you're having to deal with applications, you're having to deal with different ways to submit those applications, doing electronic signatures, things like that. You need to be adaptable enough to get along with the technology of the time. And same thing with gaming. How many consoles are there out now? And they're just more and more and more and more and more. I mean, even our PCs have basically become consoles at this point with all the
Yeah.
different upgrades, the different RAM and having to get I mean just it's crazy. And then if you want to customize it, you want to make it pretty, like it's it's all that same thing. And that's the same way with in the workplace is you're having to adapt to that, but also keeping organized. Because how many times in gaming do you really need to organize your macros and the things that keep you like doing the fights that you have to do and having that strategy? Like
Yeah.
there's that's what's going to help you is learning organization.
Yeah, and learning organization, I think is I'll say from a personal experience is maybe a little bit harder
Yeah.
on the life side versus the gaming side because to me
Yes.
the game gives you a lot more of that on rails, right? It's the game as opposed to life, right? Is obviously much more limited as far as what you can do, right? So you
Yes.
have an inventory and here's your 100 slots
Don't
of your
talk to me about
inventory.
my inventory.
I have that problem too.
My boyfriend has to come in and look at it every now and then and go, okay, we're
He's like,
getting rid of these. We don't need these.
yeah.
But
Same.
it also helps with my hoarding when we're crafting, okay?
Yes, that helps too. Yeah,
There's a method to my madness.
if you're a Final Fantasy XIV crafter, like you're forgiving on your inventory, 100%. Like how many materials you have to have.
I need more retainers. This is
Yes,
terrible.
gotta have more retainers.
There's
But
never
it's
enough.
but
And
it's
don't even
having
get
that
me
limited,
started
yeah.
with glams. Thank goodness
Oh,
they
okay.
updated that way so
I
I can
it,
actually put more things in there
I know even Yoshi P was like, "All right, we gave you more glamour stuff, so don't complain now." Like that, and like immediately I was like, "No, I need more. I'm sorry." Like,
anymore. It's not even that. We need the prism, the glamour prisms to save them. We only have this limited amount that could easily just expand it. You could even do like they've done the update with the macro bars or the
mhm,
hot bars. They could do that with the glamour prisms so that way you can save outfits according to maybe the job class or
yeah,
maybe they can compress it into something smaller because they've shown they have the technology to do it.
yeah. So it's one of those things like you wish they would.
But that's a whole nother
That's a
subject.
whole
We'll get
nother
on to that.
conversation. It's like I could go on a whole tirade of like
No.
I would want
Glam
to
is end game.
glam is the true end game. If anybody plays 14, you know glam is the true end game. Uh, I was gonna say because did you ever play Diablo 3?
Yes.
I was like, what if you use the transmog system but in 14? Where it's just like I'm
Ooh,
like, once you get a piece of
that's
data, just have it
interesting.
permanently because it's like it's just like it's easier data. You don't have to store like every
As long as they
value
don't
of
have
like
any
whatever.
copyright on it, then maybe they'd have to make something adaptable to it.
Something similar. We can't call it that, right? But,
We
but
can't call it
something similar where it's like, oh, you just like take this piece of gear and now it's permanently just a glam that you can just apply whenever. Like,
that. Yep.
anyway, whole nother conversation, I'm sure.
But yeah, the gaming industry, a lot of time when we were younger, it was always explained to us like, oh, it's not going to get you anywhere. But look how much it has built careers,
Yeah.
lifelong, establishments, businesses, whether it's something as big as Final Fantasy XIV or something as small as a little Steam download. I mean, it truly helps people to learn. I mean, in all aspects, whether it's as small as um, just doing like some graphic arts to chemistry and doing learning AI and having your characters talk back to you. I play the game Where Winds Meet, and there are NPCs that will have full on conversations with you no matter what you respond with, which is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. The way that AI is shaping up now is really crazy. Those kind of things. Yeah. I tried out a demo of one game that had that where you could talk to like the NPCs or whatever, and it used the like the back end chat GPT AI to talk. And it was really
Yes,
weird because they talk back and then whatever
they
you
do.
say they respond with. And I was and to give a little context, it was one of these like post-apocalyptic like city builder kind of games.
Okay.
And you could talk with a trader that would like come by your town or whatever. And it was like this old grizzled guy or whatever. And you're like, okay, well, according to the lore of the game, this happens like in whatever 2040 or something like that. And I was like, oh, so this guy's old. So I was like, oh, so maybe he's like our age or something like in today's term. And I was like, so I even asked the NPC, like, oh, do you remember Star Wars? You remember that movie? And he's like, oh, I love Star Wars. I'm like, oh my God,
See,
this little game,
same
this
thing
guy,
in
he
Where
knows.
Winds Meet is you could have you just kind of make it up, right?
Yeah,
And it's almost like that teaches you story building. That teaches you like maybe you become an author because of that simple game that you just played because now you're continuing the conversation and now you've built this relationship with this little NPC and before you knew it. But it actually helps in this game to progress it because you
yeah,
build an intimacy with that character and like they'll give you items because you became their friend for talking to them so much.
yeah,
So that builds into real life, whether it's at the job or anything like that, is that now you've learned conversation building, you've learned how to talk to someone. I think that is a huge way where gaming allows a person who may not be, who's very introverted and learn how to have a conversation with somebody, which is vital in a job.
yeah. Absolutely. And I think that doing it with the AI is that great kind of stepping stone for the people that are worried or scared to talk to people, is to say like, well, the AI for by and large
Can't
it
judge
doesn't
you.
matter, right? It's, you know, call them considerate practice.
Yeah.
But the whole point is that like the AI as it is now, right, with the being was LLMs, large language model, yeah, is based on people, right? It's based on like what how the computer, the AI is trying to say what would a human say in this instance. So it
Right.
really is like talking to a human because the that's what the language model is trying to do is mimic human speech and behavior.
Absolutely.
So I think it's really good at really cool for that kind of practice. And I did want to mention on the organization side too. So to kind of finish that point.
Sure.
Um, so again, for me personally, it was the organization system in gaming, I think helps because it is more streamlined or it is more restrictive in a sense where it's like, okay, well, you have to do it this way. So
Hmm.
what has helped, or you know, so I'll say even for people like myself, so how do you take it out of the game? How do you bring that out into like into your like your professional setting where you're just like, all right, well, you just have a desktop or you have a spreadsheet and you're like, I could do literally anything with this. I don't know where to start. That's
Yes. Well, again, there's always tutorials, as we say, YouTube University. But for me now, having, it's like having ADHD, everything's everywhere and you don't know where to start. You make a folder, you name it. That's number one thing. Just like when you have your game, you have your um what's a hotkey that you can just click it easily. It's on your desktop. Is
yep.
start there. In my job, I basically have to talk to representatives about their clients' applications and finding the standards. So for me, I have to save those easily to navigate things at the top of my browsers, just like if you were doing your macros is the same thing. Whereas it's a quick hotbar to click right to the website that says, this standard says this is what you need to have on your application, or this is what our company states is allowable for you to get this insurance. Like it's the same concept is you're kind of building it step by step and you learn that in training just like you do in a game. You start a tutorial, it tells you more than likely where to start. If you're starting a new job under an employer, it tells you where to start. If you're going to school, your class sets you up with a book and somewhere where to start. So there's always somewhere where to start. It's just you need to know where to find it. Again, Google, YouTube, uh even Twitch streams. I mean, TikTok these days is basically like Google these days. You look it up on the little search bar. I mean, there's an endless supply of opportunities to where to start on organization, getting it set up, and then see how does someone else have their organization set up. Again, having give it a chance to ask someone else because you never know where it could get you.
Gosh, very good. No, thank you for that. And so I did have one other question before we start to wrap up, and someone wanted to ask as far as yeah how gaming has influenced you, right? Uh, could you imagine, and how would you think your life would be different if you weren't a gamer?
Oh
If,
my gosh, I'd be so bored. I
like,
would be so bored if I don't know, I guess you would call a normie life. I go to my job, come home, eat my dinner and go to bed. Like I feel that gaming, anime, and any sort of artistic outlet, I mean, it just makes you happier. At least it does for me. I'm happier being in a magical world that gets away from the stress of life. Like during COVID is a great example. I couldn't talk to any physical person because you had to stand 10 feet from them with a mask on your face. And gaming, and that's literally why I joined Final Fantasy XIV and ended up meeting my boyfriend in that game, is from being able to, meet people in this video game, have friends, and really not be depressed anymore. So I think gaming is just the best outlet or one of the best outlets for honestly anyone in any genre. Like whether you're an artist, whether you're an architect or an IT person, or, you know, even if you're flipping burgers. I mean, gaming is just, I mean, there's cooking games,
Yep.
there's organization game. There's a game where there's a cat knocking stuff off the counter. Like
I've seen that game.
whatever
That looks
whatever
fun.
your forte is, there's a game for that. Like used to be, there's an app for that. There's a game for
There's
that.
a game for that. Yep,
And
100%.
anything. And not even just that. I mean, even with people with difficult disabilities, gaming helps that. It helps
Yeah.
people meet up. And I mean, I have plenty of friends who have lots of different disabilities, and they're able to fully function on a game, and it's really gotten them out of their corner of the world. They just kind of are out there doing everything you can do, building games, playing them, streaming them. Like it's incredible.
That's amazing. Yeah, I completely agree. I could not imagine myself not being a gamer. And you're right. I,
Good.
I think it's a great way to look at it. It's
My
like, man, I'm
life.
bored. Like it's so much fun being a gamer. There's just so much
Such a great outlet.
you just have a lot more happiness and a lot more just fun just being a gamer. So completely
Yes.
agree. So great. So as we wind down this particular episode, I want to make sure if there's anything that you wanted to share as far as if people can connect with you, or how are you helping out that they can see kind of what you do.
Yeah, so I sent you over one of my cards for Final Fantasy XIV. If you are looking to talk about Final Fantasy XIV or gaming in general, you can contact me there. I have my Discord and my Ko-fi on there. I do art, I do labels, things like that. People who do Twitch streams usually have like a nice little what do you call it? My goodness. Um, where it's like their symbol. I'm so bad at this.
Oh, not just like a logo, but like,
Logo. That's it. Oh my
yep, that's
gosh.
what it is.
Sorry. My brain, it likes to
That's
do
all right.
that. Please excuse. Again,
Not a
disabilities
problem.
here. Yeah, so yeah, I can build logos and
Nice.
do any kind of art stuff. So you can find me on there for britzkypop.carrd.com.
And we'll have that link for you guys in the description. So, Brisky, thank you so much for being a part of this, and thank you for being on the podcast. This has been so much
Thank
fun.
you. Had fun.
Yes, and guys, let me know in the comments if you want to have Britsky back on, if we want to dive any deeper into any of these topics, because definitely fun. I'm sure Britsky, we could talk for hours, whether
For
whether it's
hours.
games, whether it's Final Fantasy, anime, any
Sorry,
of them, all
guys.
of them,
We'll be
right?
here
So,
forever.
exactly. So before I let you go, I do have one final question for you, Britsky,
Sure.
and that is, of course, what is your favorite video game?
Final Fantasy VIII.
Eight. Okay. I've had a few people say eight,
We
so
need a remake.
that one that one
We
needs
need
to
a
be remade.
remake, everybody.
And that's where Triple Triad started, and that was my favorite right there. That's I spent
They doing it for
hours.
9, triple triad. Where's my 8?
Yeah.
We know the controversy, but still, where's my 8? Give
Where's
me
eight?
something.
Have you done all the Triple Triad in 14?
Yes,
Oh my God.
I
Yeah,
love it.
I've got the little the card
The
mount.
toast.
Yeah, so much fun. Yeah, I played the crap out of some Triple Triad. So yeah, I
It's
love
so good.
yeah. So I played the crap out of eight. Love me some Triple Triad. They had it in 14. I was like, yep, let's go.
Yep, absolutely.
Fantastic. Ah, so much fun. So no, thank you again, Britsky. Thank you for being here. And everybody, Britzky Pop, thank you so much for
Thanks,
being here.
guys.
Yep. So everybody watching, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.